I'm Danny.
And I'm Jen, and we're the co-hosts of Unbox, a board game industry discussion podcast where we interview a bunch of people about what it's like to work in the board game space. I got my start in board games over 10 years ago. I was a retail store owner first. I did that for a little while, and then I went on to content creation. I consulted for marketing for a bunch of publishers, and now I work for Keymaster Games. I've done that for about 7 years, and I'm back at owning a retail store again. I've done all of this through connections that I've had with people, finding people who are excellent and passionate about things and partnering with them to make awesome, fun stuff to bring to the table.
I got started in the industry 11 years ago, part-time customer service for a little publisher you may recognize as Yellow. I was there for 4 years. I settled in marketing, and I've worked for some of the biggest, best companies in the US and France. I'm right now at Luma Imports in Hull 2 with Compile, if you know this one. And I also translate rule books from French into English.
Danny and I met through this industry, connecting, as we all do, over games. I was a content creator, Danny in publishing. A few years later, COVID hit, and we weren't seeing each other in person anymore. So we came up with the idea, both as marketers at the time, to try tools. We were looking for tools and ways to connect with people, things that we were desperately missing because we were isolated and at home.
So during one of our digital coffee talks, we decided to experiment with Twitter Spaces. We by ourselves couldn't have a live stream, but together we felt slightly less awkward, just like we do now on stage. We're better with two of us. So we tried this live stream, this conversation hub, and to our surprise, 150 people tuned in. What that showed us was that people were very hungry for knowledge about our industry and also hungry for connecting with other people. So that was 3 years ago. We're still doing this, but now it's a more produced, edited, recorded, polished format.
Yeah, and the reason for that is something we realized is there are a lot of people from all walks of life that are joining this industry, that are working in this space to produce the games that are at the table. They don't come from backgrounds of learning how to make games. They didn't go to college for that. They didn't go to college for business, but they are making it. They're making incredible games that are out in all of these halls right now. Well, how do they do that? They don't do it necessarily because they have business degrees, but they do have strength and excellence in something. We all do. We all have specific strengths that we can lean into, and the more that we connect with each other, the more we can share those strengths. And every time Danny and I see collaboration and leaning on and asking and reaching out to people who have excellent strengths, they make great games.
We compiled 6 examples of people who have leaned on other people, and that has only made their game stronger. So let's dive into it.
Yeah. Our first game is the Cosmere RPG. We got to talk to Johnny O'Neill, the CEO and founder of Brotherwise Games, because they went from being an indie publisher, an indie grassroots publisher, making a fun game called Boss Monster, to having a massive IP RPG game. How did they do that?
Well, Johnny admitted to us that he is a huge fan of Brandon Sanderson, the author of the Cosmere universe. Johnny had the opportunity to work with several licenses. He made his career in the toy business, so working with Hasbro, Mattel, all of these big names. He could have made a Barbie RPG, which I kind of want.
I would do a Barbie RPG.
But he chose...
Wait, am I Ken?
I want to be Ken.
Okay, fine. You be Ken.
We can swap.
Okay.
But he chose to partner closely with Brandon Sanderson because of his authentic passion. And because of this, Brandon recognized and respected that. So they worked so closely together to make a product that they are both proud of and that fans love as well. The Cosmere RPG has broken the record for the most funded game campaign on Kickstarter.
Yeah, but you can't just do this. So Johnny wasn't making RPGs. He didn't know how to make RPGs at the time. So it took a true act of courage and humility to say, I don't know how to do this well, but I know I'm passionate and have an incredible opportunity in front of me. And he sought out people who are excellent. Since then, they've grown their team to create a huge a group of people working together to make probably one of the most highly anticipated RPGs, I think we can agree, in a long time. It took him knowing that he wasn't good at something and going and finding people who were great on it, because that was what was going to make the best game for you.
So, moving on from RPGs, let's talk about something cute. Ravensburger in the past few years has released games such as Oh My Pigeons, Gloomies, and Chronicles of Light. These are all cute, cozy, adorable games. Thank you.
I'm the clicker, not you.
And you must have heard the word cozy so many times in the past year. This is the latest trend. We're not too far away from zombies. We still love cats, but cozy as a genre is the current buzzword. So we invited Lisa Penrose, who is global head of new games in Ravensburger, North America. We asked her, after a conversation about cozy games with women and toys, we asked her, how do these trends become industry standards?
Well, you've got Ravensburger, who's a massive company, who's making a huge investment in an idea called cozy. And why is that? Well, interpersonal connection comes from all different places. In this case, it comes from the audience. It comes from people saying, what do I want to sit around the table and spend my time on? It's a reaction to what we have going on in our world and what we want to share with other people. How are we going to spend time connecting with that? Lisa bringing to the table this idea that cozy isn't just about kittens, even though kittens make up a big part of it. It's not just about mushrooms. It's not just about, in our case, hiking the national parks. It's about the time we're spending with people at the table. There are a lot of things that can constitute cozy, and cozy isn't just a cooperative game. Cozy can be competitive, but listening to people has created an opportunity to open up space away from just war games or classical games, all of which are valid and that people want to spend time around the table with, but hearing that people want to spend time around the table with other things has created an opportunity in this space for a huge new genre of games that probably has huge staying power.
Yeah, it's not that people suddenly realized they wanted cozy games. It's that people started listening to those requests. Mm-hmm. I've wanted games about birds and cats and couches and whatever. That's what I want to do at home.
So I want a bread opportunity for a bread making game. If anybody's got an idea for a bread making game, all the rage. We're ready for it.
And so what this shows us as these trends pop up is that there's just new voices entering the industry, and the companies who are brave enough to listen to those new voices and take chances, well, Ravensburger's done this for 3 years in a row, so It's obviously paid off for them.
Yeah, there might not necessarily be room for tons and tons of bird games forever, but birds is just a subsection of this idea that people can continue pouring their voices and ideas and reflections on the world back into this space in a happy, joyful way. So the next example we have is a click away. Votes for Women. Votes for Women is designed by Tori Brown, who joined us at the beginning of season 3. And this is a big one because this game could be equally contentious as well, as much as it's beloved in our space. Tori Brown took a huge risk putting a game that is about teaching people about the suffrage movement in the United States into a board game form, making the board game really a tool for learning about something really important. So we asked Tori, how did you make a game with a message? How are you able to make a game that is imparting so much learning as much as it's creating joy at the table?
For Tori, this concept of play creates safe spaces at the table. Play is fun. Confrontation is not fun. So by this logic, if you're playing something, you're having fun, and it makes some challenging concepts easier to grasp, like this historical political movement. Tori shared this story of, in this game, someone has to play the opposition. This group of people who did not want to give women the rights to vote. And some players are really deeply uncomfortable with that. But she says, that's okay. There's a solo mode. There's a robot that'll play that for you. However, I challenge you to play this anyway. I challenge you to face the history, the facts, all of the blurbs, all of the gameplay. It's faced by history, by truth. And at the table in this play, this area of play, this area of safety, you can digest this, you can experience this in a better way than just reading a book.
Yeah. Not only did Tori make this game, but it took a huge leap of faith from our publisher to also put this game into the wild. It takes people willing to hear these sort of challenging stories to make great ideas like that at the table.
Next slide, please. Thank you.
Hurrah!
Thank you. RPGs, another RPG. If any of you are fans of Critical Role, you probably are aware of the Daggerheart RPG that just released. We invited Matt Paquette, the designer, the graphic designer of this book, onto the show to talk about the impact graphic design has on products. You may not realize how deeply entwined the design, the look of a product has on the gameplay, on your experience with it. And so we asked him to dive into that.
Yeah, collaboration comes in a lot of forms in publishing. We talked about that with Johnny, and it's here again in the form of graphic design. He shared a story with us about a game that he was working on. He was trying to figure out the graphic design for it. He was trying to get something laid out on the card, and he just couldn't get it done. He came back to the publisher and he said, "This doesn't make sense. I can't graphically explain how to make this part of the game function." So instead of putting that pressure point on the graphic designer, it took a graphic designer standing up and saying, "We actually need you to go back and rework this part of the game to make it clearer. Something about this is not exactly clear." Those kinds of voices speaking into work that you're doing, especially when it's something that you're so close to and passionate about, is really important, because these are the graphic design is ultimately what somebody's going to get out of your game. So having a great person connected with your team or when you're making a game is so valuable to being able to actually connect with your audience.
And it goes back to Johnny's, our original slides point as well, of rely on people who know better than you. If the publisher had said, "No, I insist, this is the way it must be," they would be sorely surprised when the game was published, got bad reviews, because the player was confused about the gameplay, the iconography. And you don't want to say, "I told you so."
No.
I think it all the time, but I don't ever want to say it. And so by relying and trusting on people you're partnering with, it's the cycle of positive feedback.
Yeah. And remembering that your game is just as visually important, a product is just as visually important as it is the theme that it's connecting with. If Votes for Women was, for example, an ugly game, we would connect with it far less. Thank goodness for great graphic design to help make that an easy transition to the table. Now we're going to shift gears a little bit outside of people inside of publishing and talk about Danielle Standring. Now, what's the game example? Well, it's literally anything that Danielle has excitedly partnered to share on her streaming services. Danielle is a social media influencer and is an awesome person to partner with. She's worked with tons and tons of publishers to bring games in front of you on social media and make them accessible, teach people what they're about, and help them decide if it's a game that should belong in their collection. But how does she do that so successfully? What makes that so popular and such a resounding choice for so many publishers to want to partner with?
That's a great point. I know I get a lot of emails from press, those I work with already, those who are potential partners of mine. And the thing that makes me partner with them is a kindred spirit in quality of content, in excitement about specific products, and just like their communication style professionally. Danielle agrees with this and takes it a step further with the sense of collaboration. She shared a story that she was most excited about a recent content she made, where the publisher came to her not with a contract, not with a storyboard, but an idea. And the publisher valued Danielle's creativity, her brand, her style so much that they said, "Hi, what do you want to do with my game? This is my goal. Here's what I'd love to see, but how can we make something that you are passionate about having fun with as well?"
Yeah. Danielle's true strength is being able to come to the table not only with a ton of incredible ideas, but a willingness to listen and get to know people, publishers, and the game, and want to know what makes it sing, or what gets the publisher excited. Why did the publisher make it in the first place? Because that's a story that she can share. Not only does she do that, but she sets goals. She sets a clear expectation and gets clear on expectations. This doesn't matter if you're doing content creation, it really applies to anything. Having those clear expectations has generated tons of viewership for her because it gives her a clear runway to go make excellent, hilarious content that's so relatable.
Right, and with specifically content creation, if both parties, the publisher and the creator, are excited, that just makes both of them want to share it even further. The audience, the viewers can sense that excitement as well, and it explodes. But if we take this away from content creation and take it to business relations or friendships, communicating your wants, your needs, and listening to your partners makes everything stronger.
Yeah. And our last example.
Ooh, this is a good one. Who here has played Flip 7?
Ready? Flip 7.
Flip 7?
Not yet.
Okay.
If you didn't
At
raise your
least
hand, it's
7
just not
hands.
yet.
Thank you.
I counted 7. Great joke. That was a good one.
Okay, thanks. We were impressed with how prevalent Flip 7 has been, at least in the United States. It's on every advertising, it's been at every convention, it's been on every one of my game night tables for the past year. So we wanted to talk to David from The Op, who is Director of Family and Party Games, about how their product has changed. We've seen it evolved since its release a year ago from a box to a teeny tiny little free promotional version to now a normal card game box. And that's weird. That's odd to release a product and then in the span of 12 months have it change so drastically.
Yeah, David is one of a huge team of people at the Op who were able to open their ears to the idea that audience said, hey, I love this game so much. I want to take it with me everywhere that I go. I want to buy copies of this like I buy copies of Uno. And I want to play it with tons of people. I want to play it at the beach. I want to play it at the park. I want to play it in the movie theater when I get bored of the movie that I'm watching. That is a fake example. That's not what somebody said, I promise. But the idea is they had to listen to people saying, hey, instead of this big box that you've started in, I want something infinitely more mobile. It took a big risk to change the profile of a game into something smaller. It went from a higher price game to a lower price point game, which could hit revenue substantially. To put it that low, that was a big risk, but they listened to their audience and then they worked together to turn that idea into a huge promotion that was ultimately a test to see how successful it could be. You couldn't get your hand on the promotional tuck box copies of Flip 7 fast enough in the conventions that they were a part of. They just flew out of people's hands. They couldn't give them away fast enough.
They were free.
They were free. They gave copies of the game away for free to run this test. It was so popular that they made a huge shift in their product to go from being a $20 product to an $8 product, and now they sell 10,000 copies of this game a week.
I think I did 1,000 of that last week.
Yeah, I think both of
Christmas is coming
together.
up.
Yeah, that it's a perfect stop, King Stuffer. It's over in, I don't know what hall are they. It's that way for everybody who didn't raise their hand.
Hall 6, I think.
I don't know. That way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
So, your turn. Next steps.
It's your turn.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, click.
So these were just 6 examples that really highlight how people helping people is a good thing. And it's specifically a good thing for games, which we're all here for.
Yeah. There are so many people to connect with. People are the reason that I am in this business, that I am doing the work that I'm doing, that people are the reason that Danny and I get to connect over a podcast and share stories with people, share learnings and growth. Opportunities to continue learning are very rare in life, but this space is full of it. Whether you're a consumer or an industry professional or an aspiring industry professional, there is no greater gift that this industry can offer than the opportunities and the unique experiences from everybody to go to teach one another unique things about it. It takes a village to make games, and it takes a village to play them, and we're really grateful to have the opportunity to be here working. So you have a weekend full of opportunity to walk around and meet people. Don't hesitate to find somebody new and introduce yourself, or find somebody that you're longtime friends with and reconnect around the table with a board game, because you never know where that's going to lead you.
Think of it as a mini game for this weekend.
That's right. That's our challenge to you. If you'd like to hear more conversations like the ones that we shared here, you can find our podcast at this QR code. We're at unboxedboardgamepodcast.podbean.com. Thank you so much for joining us.
We're open for questions if anyone has specific Q&As for us.
Thank you.
What is
Wir haben-
that?
That's the microphone for the questions.
Oh, great.
So if anybody has questions, just catch it and
Catch
speak
it?
into the microphone.
You're going to throw it?
Yeah, you can throw it.
Wow.
Modern technology.
Throw it to her. I wanna
Oh, it's soft. Don't be afraid.
And if you're afraid to ask in English, you can ask the question in German as well, and I can translate it. So no problem at all.
He promises to translate it accurately.
Do we have any questions in the audience?
Nope.
Then I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
You mentioned Flip 7, and as I played Flip 7 for the first time, I was wondering, there's not much game to it, right? So as a critic, I was like bedazzled, like, this is a game? It's not really a game. I don't have that much decision. But then your topic was like the connections you make with people. That's like such a good example. In your experience, is it like the simpler the game and the more reduced it is, the easier it is to connect to people, or where's the magic from Flip 7?
I don't think simplicity equals connections. We talked about Votes for Women, which is a very complex
Yeah.
war game that incites big emotions with the players. Sometimes bad, sometimes good, but it sparks this conversation. Just like in Flip 7, when you freeze me, I have a very big emotion, and we'll talk about it later. But I think it's being at the table.
Yeah,
is the
because you're
important
always
part.
freezing me, but you're never giving me a second chance. You know what I'm
I
saying?
keep those. I
Yeah,
keep
well,
those. Sorry.
But let me ask you a question back. Did you keep playing?
Yeah, of course.
You got sucked in,
Yes.
so something was happening there, right?
I still have the illusion that I can get better at this game.
See, so there we go.
No, but you mentioned the emotion. Emotion is like a very important part for me as a game. For a game, if I choose to play games, I like to feel the emotions with the other players on the board.
Yeah.
But I also enjoy like heavy Euro games where I sit 3 hours and think for myself. It's the complete opposite.
Yes.
So where's the magic in that? Why is both games so accessible to me?
Ooh, that's a great question. I ask myself the same question where you have this huge variety of things. I like to think that sometimes deeper games give me a bigger appreciation for some of the smaller amounts of times. Like sometimes I want something that's expansive, that's going to leave me thinking and wanting more, wanting me to feel like I can grow and learn. Have a game feel like it's teaching me to a certain extent. And also challenging me in a great way to see what my learnings are. But that makes me also that much more appreciative of some of those shorter games like Flip 7, that ability to connect with people around the table. As long as they're not in the lead, I'm going to root for somebody to get 7 cards until they get in the lead. And then that's it. Then I'm freezing them, you know?
Yeah.
But last night at dinner, we were talking about something similar in that it depends on the group you're with. If Jen wants to play Flip 7 and I want to play Caverna always, and we're looking for different experiences, that can create a bad moment for both of us. So it's also really important to communicate with the people at your table and align on what you want.
Yeah, so Danielle's words of wisdom, getting clarity before you start playing a game is valuable, not just in content creation, but just with your friends too at the table.
Yeah. Do we have questions now in the meantime? Anyone? Oh, they're over there. It's a little bit far, but I can. You don't want to catch it? Okay.
They're like, do not throw that.
And speak directly into the.
Hello, hello.
Yes.
Goodness. Okay. Hi. I was curious about how board game publishers try to build community with their audience. You talked a lot about how board game publishers will build community kind of within the publishing sphere. But I'm curious how they do that with their consumers and how that impacts their development of the game.
Ooh. Great. So your question, just to make sure we have it correctly, is you're wondering how board game publishers work with audience and actually build those connections with audiences to help influence future development, how you're actually growing that fan base. Okay, great.
There's a few different ways, right? Creating a community of play testers who is experiencing the game while it's not final and giving feedback. And you can start doing that at conventions like this or on social media You can also just talk to them directly through social media.
Also, giving audiences, publishers that give audiences the space to speak into things, and that can be on social media, that could be through a newsletter, that could be here in person at conventions, is a great way to get that voice out. So I think a smart marketer in a publishing team is looking for ways to get audiences to speak up. That's how community gets built. I think when you see that engagement starts to happen, publishers will start building Discord communities and inviting people there, giving focused topics. Publishers giving community things to speak into is what creates this sense of community, a sense of belonging and ownership over ideas. Those publishers are the publishers I see being the most successful.
The ownership part is really important. So, but you also have to make it easy for them to join with a clear call to action. Hi, join this Discord server where you have the opportunity to do this and be a part of this end result. So make it very clear what their role is, how it impacts, and then how they belong.
Yeah.
All right. Last chance. I mean, you want to catch it, right? Just think of a question because it's so much fun to catch this thing. All right. I think there are no more unanswered questions. Then I say thank you very much, you two.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.